Dr. Temple Grandin is a world-famous autism activist and named as one of the top 10 college professors in the USA and known for her lifelong work with animal behavior. Dr. Grandin has been with Colorado State University for over 25 years. Her life's work has been to understand her own autistic mind and to share that knowledge with the world, aiding in the treatment of individuals with this condition. Her understanding of the human mind has aided her in her work with animal behavior, and she is one of the most respected experts in both autism and animal behavior in the world. And now, without further ado, Dr. Temple Grandin.
Really good to be here today. And I want to commend Madison for telling her story. I think this school has a lot of problems. I'm not happy with what I'm hearing about what this school is doing. I think it's ridiculous that she can't take psychology class. That's totally ridiculous. And being told that you just can't do things. What you got to do is you got to figure out the things that you're good at. A lot of people thought I was stupid. I wouldn't amount to much. And if you watch the HBO movie, you see some of the projects I did. One of the things that motivated me is I wanted to prove to people I was not stupid. Now, there were some things I was very bad at. Algebra, I'm never going to understand algebra. But things that involve visual thinking, which was shown very nicely in the HBO movie, I'm really good at that. Bullying, when I was in high school, worst part of my life. Teased, bullied all the time, called all kinds of names. And the only places where I was not bullied was where I had shared interests, friends through things like electronics, for example. And a 50s electronic project was to take a big speaker and put a rubber sheet over it and glue little mirrors on it, and then reflect the lamp off of it, and it would bounce in time with the music. And that's a fun project even to do now, like a lot of years later. Friends through shared interests. I had some very good people in my life. One was my science teacher. And one of the things my science teacher did for me is he got me motivated to study, because I was an unmotivated student. I just didn't care about studying until my science teacher made studying a pathway to a goal. Now there was a reason to study. I can't emphasize how important mentors are. Now, I had another person that really helped me, and she was just a friend. When I was, a long time ago, I'd had this really scary eye surgery where a little skin cancer was taken off my eyelid. I'd wake up in the middle of the night, worried about going blind. And I had a friend who had also had eye problems, and she, said to me, "You're going to get over it." But the support from that friend during that time was really important. I also had a lot of problems with anxiety. And I talk about my experiences with anxiety in my book, Thinking in Pictures. And there's a whole chapter in there on anxiety. Heavy exercise helped. Now, I've been on medication on a low dose of an antidepressant for about 40 years, since 1980. It really turned me around. Now, there's way too many drugs just handed out like candy. But sometimes I know people where a little bit of Prozac or something like that has made a big difference. COVID's been really difficult. All of my speaking engagements have been where I did travel has been cut off. I have not flown since March 12th. And one of the things I found that I had to do so I wouldn't get depressed is I got to get up in the morning, be on a schedule, get up every morning, get dressed for work, no laying around in jammies, and be on a schedule. You might want to look at life on the International Space Station. They've learned that that's like Scott Kelly, who was up there for a year. They have a schedule. They have their time. They eat all together. They got their work to do. They got to do a lot of exercise. And they also schedule in fun things to do. There's a really cute video you can look up online, Christmas on the International Space Station. It's a CNN video. I think you can find it pretty easily. But they found that having a schedule is really an important thing. Now, sensory issues are real, and they're very variable. I had problems with scratchy clothes. I can't stand scratchy things against my skin. Somebody else might not be able to stand certain kind of lighting. Sensory issues really are real. But when it comes to, self-esteem, I found that finding something I could be good at, that was a skill other people want. In other words, I'm a big proponent of developing strengths. And I've talked about different kinds of thinking, like the visual thinkers who are good at art. And then there's the mathematical thinkers. They might be doing badly in school, but maybe they need to be introduced to some Python or some JavaScript programming language. They might just take off on that, and they could do work in a computer field. Other people are good writers. I like what Stephen Hawking has to say about disability. Concentrate on those things. Your disability does not prevent you from doing well. He could do math in his head super well and not very much else. So let's build on the area where there is a strength. I can't emphasize that enough. And mentors, teachers, you never know where someone might be a mentor. Maybe you get a job in the local shop and it's the shopkeeper. It could be a lot of different people. When I had the problem with my eye, it was just a rancher that was a friend of mine. I stayed at her house and she had terrible problems with glaucoma. And she talked about, I'd get over it. And I just had this little surgery. It wasn't anywhere near as serious as glaucoma, but I was really stressed out over it. But building on strengths. I understand I'm going to be looking at some art. I'm really looking forward to, doing that. Another thing we've got to do with a lot of young adults is job skills. We've got to do that. One of the big mistakes is making, little Tommy's autistic or whatever. He doesn't have to learn how to shop. No, we've got to teach people basic skills. Absolutely. Shopping, bank account, driving for me. It took a whole lot longer to learn it. I had to do 200 miles of practice on dirt roads. Would have severely limited my career without driving. It's going to take longer. But I'm seeing too many kids where they're just getting too much. I don't like the attitude of Madison School at all. I'm really upset about this because they're just getting a total handicap mentality that she's not capable of doing anything. No, I am not capable of doing algebra, but there's a lot of other things I'm very capable of doing. My mother had a very good sense of how to stretch me. And I remember when she made me go to the lumberyard to buy some stuff by myself, just outside the comfort zone, get stretched and learn things. Because I'm seeing a lot of grandfathers come up to me and they find out they're on the autism spectrum when the kids get diagnosed. But that grandmother or that grandfather who's probably on the autism spectrum, he had a paper route when he was 11, or she had a paper route. Learning work skills. This is absolutely essential. And it really should be done before they graduate from high school, but it's never too late to start. And I never thought I'd have to talk about shopping, but this is where a 50s upbringing really helped me, because these things were taught to all kids really young. Also, a lot of the simple social skills, those were taught to all children in the 50s.
Thank you, Dr. Grandin. Now we will hear from Robin Williams, also known as Fairy Queen Flutterby. She is the founder of Autism Spectrum Disorder Supports, a nonprofit helping to build health relationships supporting those on the spectrum. Robin made history when she was the first special needs adult to be approved by Fleshman Hillard and the Olympic Committee as a journalist to cover the Special Olympic World Games in LA of 2015. This was a monumental moment for Robin because only a few years prior, she was ready to give up her life. But at age 42, when all seemed hopeless, she was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome. Robin pays it forward by inspiring others to become their own heroes and save their lives. She also teaches through the art of storytelling as her character, Fairy Queen Flutterby. As the fairy, Robin receives hugs from special needs children who never even hug their parents. And in turn, she teaches those parents how to get their own precious hugs. She has created a charity, developed an adult special needs dating service or resource network, and is an interpreter for her peers. Robin is presently launching her third book in her 501c3 nonprofit, Autism Spectrum Disorder Supports. As a native Californian, Robin is currently working with everythingfallbrook.org and just interviewed and created a video with Kira on the art we are creating for this Compassionate Youth Mental Health series. And so now we can hear from Robin.
Hi, everybody. It's so awesome to be here. I just want to correct a couple things. So it's Fairy Queen Flutterby. And a lot of the people do call me Flutterby, and I think it's very sweet. But just so we keep it straight for profession reasons. And then I'm kind of newly married, just over a year, and I haven't been able to change my name in my computer. So I am officially now Robin Williams, which is kind of cool because I really admired him and I tend to be kind of funny. So I think in honor of Robin Williams, I'll use that name now. So again, it's an honor to be participating with such distinguished guests. And Dr. Temple, you just have to know you're such a hero for so many of us. So really, really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today. And then everybody else as well, because we're all just as important. And I just wanted to say in my testament that I have overcome at times what seemed insurmountable hurdles. You know, any successes that I've had are not in spite of my intellectual disabilities or challenges, but because of them. A diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome actually opened up a world of opportunity that I couldn't have imagined. Seeing things differently was more than okay because it allowed my true talents to shine. If memory serves me right, I heard an interview, I believe it was Tim Burton, that said he had received thousands of rejections before he received his first yes. And then I realized that it was okay to be told no, but not to expect it, not to accept it, and to pivot and move in a different direction. The most important thing that was lacking in my life was healthy relationships. This being the key to the quality of life in all aspects. It led me to the creation of a program called Relationships Are Us. By paying it forward, and it's actually relationshipsrs.com, so we like to call it RAUC, as in RAUC, because everyone needs a solid and happiness is everyone's right. So by paying it forward to all the people lacking that quality part of life, I use my natural talents of mentoring, cheerleading, and teaching others that need to learn the tools so that they can have their own healthy relationships. With the help of my partner, Paul Smith, we first evaluate the immediate need of an individual. And once that's established, it will reveal a path so that we can tailor make a program to attain their own personal goals. We establish a team with each person's contribution filling a different need. We use volunteers so that we may log in as much practice needed to develop such skills as the art of conversation, appropriate behavior, and good hygiene. And also all of those things, when they start to blossom, it brings on their own natural courage and gives them confidence. We use different methods of teaching that are innovative and help utilize each individual's natural abilities, such as role play through costume play, which is known as cosplay. This gives the freedom of individuality to blossom. It helps to build confidence in their delivery when speaking to other people. It establishes social boundaries and understanding to respect one another for an even playing field. Once the individual is feeling ready to venture out on their own, we guide them to take the steps going forward to meet their goals. We are sure to reinforce that it is okay to be rejected and teach them how to be able to process rejection so that they'll be able to move forward and not hang on to it. We teach them to manage their expectations and to obtain realistic goals. If I tell you, you all must dwell, because people only dwell on your small victories, for they are worthy of celebration. Another major component is always helping to reassure that everybody has a bad day, which is not the end of the world. It's okay to feel sad, but you don't want to keep it. You don't want to carry it for too long. You go through it, you process it, and you move forward so that you're not stuck in that darkness. We remind them that it's good to mourn and grieve their feelings, but not to allow it to consume them so that they can't do anything else. Once they've allowed for that time, you set a reasonable time limit. You say, okay, I'm talking to one of my specials and they're telling me this horrible thing. And I say, okay, we're going to really talk about that and we're going to digest it, but you get like an hour. And then I'm going to call you back in an hour and we're going to change that attitude. And that seems to really help. It's kind of almost like a biofeedback. And if any red flags arise at any time during our processes, we immediately make contact with their parents and caregivers to ensure that they get the proper attention that they need, whether it be physical or mental. Some people get really embarrassed or ashamed when they have those feelings of desperation or depression or this deep sorrow. And there's really nothing to be ashamed of. We're all human and everybody goes through that. We need to recognize when there's a need for other measures. Like, for example, I am very strong into meditation. I had been a guinea pig to doctors for years before my diagnosis and learned that I didn't need all those drugs. They weren't really helping me anyway. They were just causing other problems. But there is sometimes, I do believe it is necessary, and we shouldn't be ashamed if we have to use a medication. I suffered from severe depression sometimes, and if it wasn't for the others mentoring, guiding, and teaching me these tools that I use every day to this day, I would not have had this journey, and I would not trade it for anything. The fact that you're all here today shows how very much you love life, and we all love life. So let's enjoy some of it together, shall we?